We're all familiar with circles. We have a family circle and a circle of friends. We have social circles based on age, gender, race, and ethnic origin. Still, other circles bring together people who are interested in some specific activity or hobby. An entrance into a new circle might be loose, or it might be very strict. And some circles are so tight-knit that you have to prove yourself to be admitted. If you can't, you're excluded. And that's the problem facing Jesus, the disciples, and all of us here today. Who's got the right stuff when it comes to following Jesus? Who's in and who's out? Who decides? Everybody's welcome, right? But the truth is, like most people, we have fears, prejudices, and foibles that influence our behavior, sometimes for good and sometimes for bad. And every once in a while, a story pops up that gives us pause about how we might act when put to the test. And such is the story of Julio Diaz. Every night, this 31-year-old social worker ends his hour-long subway commute to the Bronx one stop early so he can eat at his favorite diner. One evening, Diaz stepped onto a nearly empty platform. As he walked toward the exit, a teenage boy wielding a knife approached him. As Julio tells it, he wanted my money, so I just gave him my wallet and told him, "Here you go." As the young man backed away, Diaz said, "Wait a minute, you forgot something. If you're going to rob people for the rest of the night, you might as well take my coat to keep warm." Taken aback, the puzzled boy asked, "Why are you doing this?" Julio replied, "If you're willing to risk your freedom for a few dollars, then I guess you must really need the money. All I want is to get dinner. And if you want to, you may join me. Hey, you're more than welcome." So Diaz and the teen went into the diner and sat down. First the manager came by, then the dishwashers, and finally all the waiters, each one taking a moment to greet Julio Diaz in their own way. The kid was amazed. "You know everybody here. Do you own this place?" "No," Diaz answered. "I just eat here a lot." "But you're even nice to the dishwasher," the boy said. Julio nodded. "Well, haven't you been taught to be nice to everybody?" With an odd look on his face, the would-be mugger shot back, "Yeah, but I didn't think people actually behaved that way." Seeing an opening, Diaz asked him what he wanted out of life. He just sat there with a sad face and couldn't answer or didn't want to. When the bill came, Julio looked at the young man and said, "I guess you're going to have to pick up the check because you have all my money. But if you give me my wallet back, I'll gladly treat you." The teen returned the wallet, and Diaz gave him $20. "I figure maybe it'll help him. I don't know." Diaz then asked for something in return, the knife, and the boy handed it over. When Diaz got home, he said to his mother, "You know, if you treat people right, you can only hope that they'll treat you right. It's as simple as it gets in this complicated world." I can't say for sure, but I suspect very few of us would treat a knife-wielding teenager with that much understanding and compassion. Our fear would be too great, and our self-righteous anger would be too extreme. Scraps to the dogs be darned. It's that young man who should be thrown to the dogs. But Julio Diaz went another way. He turned the other cheek. He practiced the golden rule. On that day, Jesus must have looked down and cried, "Julio Diaz, great is your faith. You've got the right stuff. Welcome. Come right into my circle. And bring your teenage friend with you. He's welcome too, because you have shown him mercy. My mercy is open to you both." And that's the good news of the gospel. So why is it so hard to put into practice? We're all capable of showing mercy to those we know and love, but with people different from us, whether that difference is racial, ethnic, economic, or religious, our fear and our prejudices too often kick in. And when they do, mercy is often the first casualty. But Jesus shows us a different way. With Jesus, God's mercy is open to anyone and everyone, regardless of whether or not we think they're worthy. Even the disciples didn't get that at first. That's clear from their behavior when that nagging woman shows up. By the social standards of the time, no self-respecting Jewish male would associate with one, an unaccompanied woman, let alone two, a hated Canaanite. With 2 strikes against her, it's not surprising that they try to send her away. So imagine their surprise when Jesus turns the table on them by saying, "O woman, great is your faith." Faith in Jesus is all that's needed, the kind of faith shown by the Canaanite woman and Julio Diaz. Like the disciples, we don't always get it right. The good news is that even when we fall short, God's mercy is still there. As we approach Eucharist, it's worth remembering a little bit about our worship space, which was designed as a mandorla, intersecting circles symbolizing the human and the divine. To receive Eucharist is to stand with Jesus within that circle. To receive Eucharist is to hear Jesus say to you, "Great is your faith. You've got the right stuff. Come into my circle. Cling to me. Your faith has saved you." It's as simple as it gets in this complicated world.